Yeah, yeah, and so either again, constitutional coup headquarters, and more recent events to report on, a really loony one out of the quote unquote state of Ohio, where we just had a judge there, and I haven't seen the case. Anybody happens to have this opinion, please send it to me. An idiot judge there. You ready for this? Ruled that hippopotamuses are people. Animal rights wackos have to love this one. But if hippos have rights, how in the world is that possible? Number one, if you and I don't. And I'm telling you, with 5 decades of experience behind what I'm saying and 15 years all in, I can't find anything under the non existent 14th War Amendment that secures any rights by the Constitution to any of the 6 articles of the Constitution or the Ninth and 10th Amendments. And yet, hippos have rights? Oh, I would love to go back and review the ratification of that amendment to see if anybody who ratified it had a clue that's what they were voting to do. Wow, I mean, it's bad enough that they cleverly concealed the fact that the real intent was to make citizens, or what I call birthright citizens, out of corporations. That's bad enough. But hippos, my gosh, what about black snakes, Kodiak bears? I mean, where does it stop? They have rights and we don't. I would love to see this opinion. If I get a hold of a copy, if I can find it on my own online search, I will. And I'll do an updated video on this. But have we really got to that point? That animal life is more valuable than human? And think about this, when we ordained and established this Constitution to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, human life had real value and context there. And this is the only nation I think ever created where that was so. You're certainly not going to see anything like that in Pyongyang, North Korea, Beijing, Cairo, and any of those African and Asian nations that have been there thousands of years. And here we are, about 135 years into it here, and have the best nation ever created. Not to say perfect nation, I get that, but the best one ever created, and we became the most powerful nation on earth in the space of about 125 years because of that recognition of human values, human life, and human rights. That's what we need to get back to more than anything, and in a system that recognizes rights across the board. That does include Asians and Africans, even if only inhabitants of states or inhabitants of territories. And those inhabitants, by the way, have the right to trial by jury according to the courts of the common law and the writ of habeas corpus secured by Article 2 of the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. And state citizens don't have anything like that anywhere in sight. Wow, think about the magnitude of that issue. It's astounding when you think about it. And by the way, I didn't come into all this overnight myself. I put a lot of research and analysis into this, and things hit me over a long amount of time when I started to put two and two together and do some adding. And when it finally did, I said, that's amazing. And by the way, like I say, I wasn't a quick learner. You'll do a lot better. Send me an email, youwinandcourt@gmail.com, about my modestly priced constitutional defense document packets, where you'll learn all this and in a hell of a lot less time than the 10,000 hours I put in those stuffy old stacks of law books in the law library back in the day when I could actually get into one, especially UC Berkeley and later Hastings College, which now I can't do because I have no ID, and probably even worse from the point of view of these socialists in power now. I'm unvaccinated. See you later. I mean, if I had kids, crying out loud, that probably would be grounds for summary removal of the kids on the basis I was an unqualified parent. And that's not crazy, people. I mean, think about the idiot Merrick Garland, the current U.S. Attorney General, telling the FBI to get out there and go after parents of children in schools as domestic terrorists who oppose the critical race theory. They can, and they can do that on the federal level. It's bad enough that the states think they can do that, with the Department of Human Services and this, that, and the other, which they can't do. Story for another video. But the feds can do this and summarily remove your kids. Whose kids are they? It might well be asked, and why? These are the type of questions we want to be putting before them, especially in front of juries. And this is going to stop the bastards. Not this civil rights crap where 98% of the cases hit the circular file on the first motion to dismiss. And that's true, especially for what they identify as pro se litigants. And by the way, if you're in a courtroom like that, that's what the quote unquote judge is going to call you, a pro se litigant. And I've had several people tell me lately, judges don't even understand what the term in propria persona sui juris means. And they went to law school for 4 to 6 years and have a sworn oath to be bound by this Constitution and the laws enacted in pursuance thereof, and they don't know this? That's not only fraud, that's an act of treason, because the judge is actually aiding and abetting a court that he knows that doesn't have jurisdiction to keep exercising it, while preventing courts that do have jurisdiction from doing the same thing. And that's the U.S. Supreme Court saying it, his bosses, not me. Cases Cohen's v. Virginia, 264. And that's one of the things you'll get, by the way. Send me an email for information, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And when I reply, I send a lot of what I call bonus documents. And there's a lot of quotes in one of my files from Cohen's v. State of Virginia, the most important case in American history, in my view. And yeah, it's 200 years old, but the justices in the last term cited it in 2 different cases involving the state of Texas. And when you read the quotes and you read the case, you understand immediately that the justices can't do that without understanding what it really means. That's a killer, because it's clear when the justices Alito and Thomas were concerned, because they denied the state of Texas even filing documents there, and that's the only court that would have jurisdiction. What you understand, if you know Cohen's, is that you and I, as at least lawful de jure jus sanguinis state citizens, have better standing than the states we created. And what they can do to states, if indeed they are states, is a story for another day, they can't do to you and I, because we are in a principal and agent relationship. What they see it these days is guardian and ward, or more accurately, master and slave. And the big question is, how the hell did that happen? And trust me, people, I have a lot of answers to questions like that, none of which they will want to see coming, all of which we want to get before an inflamed jury, and none of us are going to ever see one, because the case goes away. They cannot allow that to happen, especially in your case, if you have my notice of intent to appear as an expert witness on the Constitution. And I can fully sustain my claim to being an expert witness. I can talk about my stuff a cappella. Yes, we question 1 on a Monday morning. We get to question 2 maybe Tuesday afternoon. That's dead bang. I mean, I have it. It's just a gift that I have, and it's a lot more than just memory, by the way. It's a lot more than that. But I have it, and you get access to it when you get my materials. And for that purpose, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And I'll get the information right back at you. And it's a whole new world out there when you understand the truth. The last thing in the world the New York banksters ever want you to see is what you find out is absolutely stunning. So I've gotten a little off the point here, but to end up, now the courts are saying, hippos have rights, and apparently we don't. That's absurd. If somebody out there wants to do a TV show about stuff like this, you'll make a hell of a lot of money. I mean, nobody would believe this stuff. And yet here it is, 2021. Animals have rights, we don't. Amazing. So that's it. And I say at the end of my videos, what we have to do is all start working together here and cut out this divide and conquer crap they've been doing for at least 150 years, and get all of us Asians, Africans, Americans on the same side here, the same issues, the same court. And we'll do a lot better. Get rid of this civil rights crap, Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. Not going to get it done with that. It was never designed to do it, and it doesn't exist. But we go in there, and I think we can still do it. Time may be running out, or it may not. If we have a food famine here or whatever, that I haven't seen enough evidence of that to convince me credible information like what I'm providing here. But something like that happens, and they get a massive outbreak because there's a lot of armed people here with all kinds of violence. Now they declare overt martial law. If they do that, can they suspend the writ of habeas corpus? Where I come from, that's still a very wide open question because they've artificially created the problems, or in their minds, they've created they did created the problems and offered the solution. That's what this government does. Again and again and again. If you study history, especially American history, you see that repeatedly, how this happens and how they get this military government to stay in power. That's what we want to get rid of. Well, I've gone on a bit here, but hopefully you get the point, and we'll follow up with more on this if I get a copy of the decision here, or if it gets reversed by a higher court. I mean, who knows? But that said, subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. The sooner we get to work on these bastards and all working together, the quicker we get them off our